Moving into 2H, moving into the makeup of the connective tissue, about the fibers, about the makeup of our connective tissues. So there are three types of fibers embedded in the extracellular matrix between cells. We have collagen fibers, elastic fibers, and reticular fibers. With the collagen, the collar means glue, which gives you a really good idea of what collagen fibers do to hold and to bind the tissues together. Glue. Fibers. So there are three types of fibers embedded in the extracellular matrix between cells. We have collagen fibers, elastic fibers, and reticular fibers. With the collagen, the collar means glue, which gives you a really good idea of what collagen fibers do to hold and to bind the tissues together. Glue. Fibers. Elastic fibers mean exactly that. Elastic. These are smaller in diameter than collagen fibers, and they branch and join together to form a network within the tissue. These consist of the protein elastin, surrounded by a glycoprotein called fibrillin, adding that strength and stability. Amazingly, elastic fibers can be stretched up to 150% of their relaxed length without breaking. And then they have that ability to return to their original shape after being stretched. That elasticity. Of course, this is found in the skin, in our lungs for that inhalation and exhalation, our blood vessel walls as elastic arteries to recoil between our heartbeats and to be able to maintain that blood flow. Elastic fibers. Reticular fibers. To reticular is a net. So reticular fibers provide a netting around certain cells, organs, nodes. They consist of collagen arranged in fine bundles with a coating of glycoprotein. They provide support and strength for these cells and organs. It provides support also in the walls of our blood vessels. So reticular fibers form a network around cells and some tissues like your areolar connective tissue in the skin, adipose fat tissue also just below the skin, and in our smooth muscle tissue. So a stroma then becomes the framework going around many of these soft organs like our liver, our spleen and lymph nodes, many of the smooth muscle tissues. Reticular fibers, a netting. So now we come to the classification of connective tissue. As we said in the very beginning, there's loose connective tissue, dense connective tissue, muscle tissue, bone tissue, blood tissue. So we're going to go through them now with a little bit of extra. So first of all, loose connective tissue. So that's broken up again into areolar, adipose and reticular. Areolar connective tissue forms that subcutaneous layer of our skin. Within that areolar connective tissue is adipose tissue, and it is a good insulator, our fat tissue. Then we have what I just discussed a minute ago, the reticular connective tissue, and it binds those smooth muscle cells. Now, dense connective tissue. This is found in tendons, ligaments, the dermis part of our skin, the pericardium part of our heart, and the periosteum surrounding our bones. Dense connective tissue, a bit tighter, a bit tauter, a bit more dense. Then we have cartilage and different kinds of cartilage. We have hyaline cartilage, fibrocartilage, and elastic cartilage. So hyaline cartilage is the flexibility and support at the joints. It reduces the friction in our joints. Fibrocartilage is found in the intervertebral discs, found in between our vertebrae. That soft cushioning between our vertebrae, fibrocartilage. Then we have elastic cartilage, made more of elastic fibers, and it's able to keep the shape of our structures, like our ear. Hyaline cartilage, fibrocartilage, and elastic cartilage. Moving into bone tissue, bone or osseous tissue. So the matrix of mineral salts and the collagen fibers will contribute to the hardness of bones. The osteoblasts become osteocytes and then become located in what's called a lacunae in the bone. I always explain that the lacunae is like a lake, a small lake of fluid in the bone. Bone tissue is for our support, protect, and provide a surface area for our muscle attachments. Bone tissue stores minerals, and it even houses blood-forming tissue. And it helps, of course, to provide us with movement. Our bone tissue. Muscle tissue. Muscle tissue is, of course, composed of cells that specialize to contract, to be able to go from a relaxed state and to a contracted state, to be able to relax again and then move back into a contracted state and back to a relaxed state. There are 3 types of muscle tissue. We have skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, and cardiac muscle. So first, skeletal muscles. So skeletal muscles are striped or striated. They're long and their fibers are the full length of where they are attached to. They are striped or striated. They attach to bones. They are voluntary muscles. The fibers are stimulated by nerves, and they enable us to move, walk, run, to be able to move the body. Our skeletal muscles. So the skeletal muscles will be discussed in more in-depth 2 chapters from here now, in chapter 4, skeletal muscles. Smooth muscles. Smooth muscles are located on the walls of our digestive tract, uterus, blood vessels, and other internal organs like our liver and kidneys. Their fibers are not striated, not striped. They are smooth. And their control is involuntary. Cardiac muscles are a bit of both, a bit of the skeletal, a bit of the smooth. So cardiac muscles are the muscles of our heart, and they are then again broken into a pericardium, a myocardium, and an endocardium. They are involuntary muscles, but they are striated, that is, striped. So the main difference with cardiac muscles is that it is characterized by what's called intercalated discs. These are tight junctions between adjacent muscle fibers which allow nerve impulses to move rapidly from one fiber to another fiber to another fiber, initiating each firing of our heartbeat. It is an involuntary muscle. Our cardiac muscle, our heart. And we have nervous tissue, which receives and transmits messages throughout the body, allowing various parts of our body to communicate with each other. They consist of neurons, nerves for that transmission. Within the neurons and nerves are glial cells, which support and nourish the neurons. So each neuron or nerve consists of a cell body, which has a nuclei in it, and two types of processes which extend from the body of the cell body. We have dendrites and an axon. So the dendrites receive the information from different parts of the body, and this information needs to be passed on to other parts of the body. So it moves through to the axon, and the axon transmits the information away from the cell body to other nerves or muscles and glands. So nerves, neurons, they have a cell body, and from there extend dendrites and an axon. So the dendrites receive the information from somewhere in the body, and the axon is the transmitter. It transmits that information from the cell to other nerves, or for the muscles to move, or for the glands to do their work. Our nervous tissue. So here is the picture of some nerve cells, neurons, from your textbook, page 40, showing you the body, the cell body of a neuron and its extensions. It even shows the nucleus in the center of each cell body and the axon sending information to the next neuron and then sending messages to the next neuron. Or the information could go to muscles, glands, other parts of our bodies to stimulate other parts of our body. Cell body, the neurons, the dendrites bringing in the information, the axons transmitting that information. And those little dark dots that you can see in the fluid around the extracellular fluid around the cell body of the neurons are the glial cells. These are there to nourish the neurons. Then we have liquid connective tissue, our blood tissue and our lymph tissue. Blood for our circulatory system and lymph going through from the lymphatics into the blood system. So blood connective tissue is made up of blood plasma and formed elements. Red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Blood transports our oxygen and transports the carbon dioxide out of our body. It also carries on that phagocytosis, the white blood cells carry on the phagocytosis of eliminating any foreign substances, bacteria. Our blood connective tissue also helps in allergic reactions. It helps provide us with our immunity, and it also helps with blood clotting. Our blood connective tissue. Then we have lymph tissue from the lymphatics. This is the extracellular fluid which is found in the lymphatic vessels. It is a liquid connective tissue. It is similar to blood plasma, but with less protein. It doesn't have the red hemo part of the blood. This is a clear straw colour. It's important for our immunity. Our lymphatic system is closely related to our circulatory system, and together they make up the cardiovascular system. Our lymph tissue.